Hello, this is the reconstruction of my 2.42 winning average at Westries Open 2026, and I wanted to show a bit of my thought process. It's probably not that interesting, but maybe if you are learning Alpha at this point in your Pyraminx career, this might be a bit helpful for getting better competition results. So let's get straight into the first scramble. This one was a 2.39 DNF because I miss one duct. I'll show, this is the scrambled cube, which I can keep right here. And on this one, I'll show my thought process. So when I saw the scramble, I first immediately recognized two red bars, which usually means it's good to do a red V. And in this case, it's just a simple 3-move V, where you first solve this edge in the back, and then just solve these two. What's fun with this type of V is that you can actually change the case you get, because you can decide to do the L prime first or the R first, which I did realize in competition, but I preferred just hold up. I preferred just keeping it to one solution because that's simpler, and I'm not that good at one looking yet, so I wanted to keep it simple. So I chose to do an L prime first. The way I tracked it is, what you can easily see is that this edge will move up here, and then this red and yellow edge will move up here, with red on this side, and it will not move after that. This one will also just move once, this yellow and green edge, which will move up here and have a block right here and not right here. And the final edge that will come up here is this blue and green edge, which I actually miss one duct. I like to use a sort of metaphor of a car when tracking these types of edges, which is like there's a car driving around my Pyraminx, and it has a front and a back side, which I use to recognize which way the edge goes. In this case, the blue is the front of the car, and it's going to move down here, and then up here, and then up here, and because blue is at the front of the car, that's the way it's driving, so blue should come here and green should come there. For some reason, I had this flipped, so I thought green would come here, which meant instead of getting this case, which would have been the correct one to do, I actually thought it was this case, which has a completely different solution. And if you do that solution on this case, you get two flipped edges, which I also did get in my official solve, which of course gave me DNF. But the correct solution to do here would be first do the tips at the same time, because they can both go in the same direction. Then I do a B move, L prime, R. And for this one, you might notice as a super sledge, which starts from this angle, but you can also do an alternate algorithm, which starts right here, which sort of a hedge, I believe. Yeah, a hedge. And then you cancel straight into inserting this edge. This is the second solve. It was a 1.92. First, I saw these big blocks, and I decided to go for red, because I don't know why exactly, but if you do the R move here, you can see that you can do the B move as if it were a U move, which is good. If you have to do B moves, it's better to execute it with your pointer finger instead of doing one of these moves, which is quite bad. And it's quite a simple layer solution. First you solve this, or a V solution, sorry. First you solve this center, then you insert this, and then you insert this. For the one look, is this the same scramble? this is the same scramble. For the one look, you can see that this edge moves like a sledge, where this one gets preserved and moves right here. And in that case, this sticker will move over here, which means our edge that needs to be inserted in the bottom will be here with this as the bottom color. This edge moves very simply, just moves up. A block right here, no block right there. And this edge also moves very simply into the top. This green moves up here and up there, which means it's an oriented edge with no blocks. Which means that if we solve it, we get this case, which is quite simple. 6 mover. There's no good alternate alg from this case. I guess you can do this into that, but I prefer to just do a U into that, which is also what I did in the solution. So just tips first, R, B, L prime, U, and then this 6 moves case, which is R, U prime, R prime, L prime, U, L. This is the third solve. The time was a 1.97. When looking at the scramble, you can see that on white, on yellow and blue, you can make this one move where you have like the center solved and one of the L3 edges already. On blue, it doesn't really have any good continuations because you either have to do a B move and then insert this edge, and this one is in such an awkward spot you don't really want to use that. For yellow, what you can do is you have this edge which usually would be in an awkward spot, but the first move that starts to insert it actually is an R, so you can kind of cancel into this solution, which would normally be 5 moves. But you only have to, you don't really have to do them all because, well, the first move is cancelled by the scramble. So what you really just do is you insert this edge in the back, and then you do an R prime to solve the layer. For the one look, this edge is oriented, and because you're only doing R and U moves, or L and U moves, I guess, it stays oriented and it actually gets solved because the center moves, but the edge is getting hidden. This one pairs up with this one and just stays there. So this will be an entire solved block. This edge will move into here in a flipped state, and this one will also eventually end up in a flipped state, which means we get this case. You can do this, cancel this actually, which I didn't realize until now. Actually, you can, because the solution is this, you can start into one of the solutions for this case, which is to take it out and then do a hedge. But what I prefer to do, because it's a little more finger trick friendly, is to do U and then do R, U prime, R prime, U, L prime, U, L. And that's also what I did in the solution. Just start at this tip, insert this in the back, then, sorry, not right there. First do an R prime to solve the V, and then go into the very simple case. I actually didn't want to look AUF, but I realized during the solve that it would be solved, so I guess it's not really time loss. This is the fourth solve. It was a 3.07, and I actually didn't one look this one. On this scramble, I really didn't see anything good. Yeah, I mean, there's just on. No, wait, actually, there's actually something pretty good on yellow. Well, we'll explore that later, but what I actually did is on red, I saw that you can solve this edge in 2 moves by doing L prime, U prime. This is a pretty standard case where you have this is the same and this one is not the same. It's a very common case you get. Sometimes it can be solved with a sledge, because this is what the moves you do to solve it is sort of like a sledge. But anyway, if you move it to the other piece that's on the same side and then move it over, it will always solve, which I recognized. And then I saw that this edge would move up here, and I could insert it into the left and then have to rotate. But I mean, yeah, I was nervous after getting a sub 2 counting, so I was actually pretty happy that I found a decent V solution. I do tips, which is kind of weird, but do like with my ring finger, this tip, this like a normal U prime, this like a normal, wait, this is, yeah, is U prime, this like a normal B, and then this R like a normal R, then L prime U prime, sorry. So this edge, insert this for 6-minute V, rotate, and then recognize that it's a very nice 5-move sledge case to finish off the solve in 3.07. But I did see something decent on yellow. Let's see what happens there. First solve tips. And what you can do here is a pretty common pattern. You move this into here, which solves this. And then when you do this L prime move, this one will be solved. Oh, and you get a quite fortuitous case, it seems, because you can do R prime, solve this, and these are all oriented, so you just can do a 5-move solution. How good is that actually? So if we do the scramble again on white, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's only 2 moves faster than my original solution. Okay. But I probably could have won like that. It's just a hard solution to find because yellow is not the first color you would look at, because all the centers are misoriented. I was also just nervous, but this is a 1, 2, 3, 4 move V, which is optimal, I think, for the scramble. Okay. This is the last scramble. It's a 2.23, and you can see there's a lot of nice blocks on this scramble. And I see that there is the most blocks on red, so I'm going to do red. This is, I believe, once again, a very simple solution. Just a 3-move V. Ignore that this edge is solved, but solve the center, and you can do like an L prime R. On this one, I actually did 1 look 2 cases, because after this B, you can either do this to this case, which I didn't really like, but you can also do this to this case, which I do like, which I tracked, but let's show how you would track that from the starting state. Well, you can see this edge easily moves up here, and it's gonna be there regardless of which of the 2 final moves you do first. And what you can see is that after this, if you move this up here, it's gonna have a block here and not be solved here, which is in general, a misoriented edge is not that fun. You prefer to have oriented edges, and if you moved here, it is oriented. Here you can see if you move this up, this edge will go in here. Wait, is this a sense solution? Oh no, sorry. This edge will go down here with yellow at the front, then move up here, once again yellow at the front, and yellow at the front right here. So it will be a flipped edge. So you have a very easy case where you have this oriented edge and a flipped case, or flipped edge, which is easily finger trickable, but is not an ideal case. The other case you could get is, once again, I have this here, and if you move this up first, this will be a block, and this edge will move over here, after which yellow will be, yellow will be at the front, which will move up here and up here, which will make this a flipped edge, which is a worse case than the other one I showed you. So that's why I did first the R move and then the L prime to get into this simple 7 move case with no AUF.